Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. It's been a while since we shared with you one of these easy, healthy recipes. So there's a whole playlist of our easy, healthy recipes if you haven't discovered them or you're new to the channel. So please check them out if you care about healthy recipes that are fairly easy to make. So like we promised on Instagram a couple of days ago, we told you guys we've had enough of all kind of chemical poisons that we're now forced to take into our body because there's almost nothing that's really organic. At the grocery shops, everything has E numbers in it. You can't escape it. So what can you do? You can either accept to keep taking all that chemical poison in your body, or you can say, no, I'm going to start making my own food. We've always been making our own foods, but sometimes there are some things that you like to incorporate in your meals that you always thought and assumed that they would be safe, like falafel. Right? Falafel. I mean, what can go wrong with falafel? You can do that and then make some salad with it or stuff some wraps with it. So things like that, we tended to buy from the grocery shop also, hoping that there can be nothing, they can be that processed. But no, when you take a look at the list, nowadays everything is processed. Nothing is what it seems. So when it comes to the falafel, I have a very easy recipe for you. I know most people know falafel made out of chickpeas, which are really healthy. Also, they have proteins and all that. But chickpeas tend to have a little bit more calories. So we want them to be healthy and we want them to have as less calorie as possible. So we ended up with lentils. Today we will be making falafel with lentils, just lentils. I know some recipes online give you lentils in combination with oatmeal or almonds or this or that, but no, we're just going to go full with lentils. What I have here is 400 grams of cooked lentils. To have this amount, you need 200 grams of dry lentils. I'm sorry, Mike is cleaning up on the background, which is also has to happen. We have a couple of chores to do, so we need to continue, guys. So it always doubles. So if you want 100 grams cooked, you need 50 grams dry. Yeah, start with 50 grams. It will give you 100 grams eventually when it's cooked. So it always doubles in size. So it's just me and Mike, just two persons. I have here total of 400 grams cooked lentils, which means I started with 200 grams dry lentils. Something about lentils, beans, chickpeas and all that, there is of course this aspect that tends to bloat you up after you've had it, gives you gas and all that. To minimize that effect, what you should do is, and it goes for most kinds of beans, chickpeas, lentils and all that, what you should do is soak them for at least 2 days. Yeah, put them in a container, soak them for 2 days. If you want, refresh the water a couple of times in between, but soak them a day or two. What that will give you is that water will break down the structure of the lentils and it will minimize the effect that bloats you up and gives you gas. Which means that if you start to boil it eventually, if you start to cook it, that it will fall apart because it's been soaking. So the structure is compromised of the lentils. But for a recipe as this one, the falafel, we're going to turn them into little balls. It doesn't matter anyway. It's going to be mashed anyway. So that's what I do here. And to keep it healthy, I'm not going to use oil. Although we do have oil. If we use oil, we use olive oil. Not going to do that today. It's not necessary. Just get a skillet with really good quality that doesn't stick. And other recipes tell you to mash all this up or puree it up in your kitchen machine. I'm not going to do that because I don't want porridge. I want to be able to make balls that don't fall apart, so they need to clinch on each other. So for that, you're going to need you need it to be a little bit chunky, not too much, but you're going to be needing this mixture to be a little bit chunky so that it will clinch on each other. Yeah? But we are going to mash it, just not puree it. So, which means do this in a skillet, yeah? Plus, this step is also important because this is a step where you're going to spice it up. Any kind of spices that you like, really. Nothing specific. Any kind of spices that you like. And if you like cilantro and all that, like fresh herbs or herbs, as you say in some countries, chop it up, throw it in there. This is the step where you do that. A little bit of salt also, which I've got myself. And then start frying it, but without oil, just like that. Start beating it around in the skillet. Yeah. Once you see that they have absorbed the spices and everything is mixed really well, you don't have to cook it like completely. Just keep beating it around in the skillet until you see that the herbs and everything is being absorbed. Then let it cool off, mash it, make little balls, let them sit for a while, and then we're gonna hot air fry them. So I don't know how much balls this is gonna give me, but yeah. So that's the procedure that I will be doing today to make my lentils falafel. So let's start. So one other thing, if you've been soaking them before you boil them, soak them for a day or two, you'll see that they'll cook even faster. So when I started cooking this amount, I was done within probably 10 minutes, I think. So yeah, that also. If you love hot spices, try to add some hot spices in there to give it a kick. So if you're wondering what we're going to do with this, like I said, obviously we're going to be making falafel, but then we're going to be using the falafel as stuffing for our wraps, and we're going to be adding there a little bit of lettuce and roasted paprika. And we always try to make our own salad dressing with a little bit of yogurt that doesn't have too much fat and low sugar ketchup. It almost goes with everything. So yeah. So again, this step is just for mixing the spices in there, making sure that the lentils are taking the spices and absorbing them. You're not cooking them. So the fire doesn't have to be high and it doesn't have to take too long. Smells good. So after 5 minutes or so, turn off the heat and let them cool off, and then we're gonna mash them. Guys, I was gonna mash it manually, but then I remembered our Magimix, and I remember this blade that I have here, which is not the same as the blender, as the blender which is now in the dishwasher. So don't blend it in one of these blenders because again, you do not want it to be like puree. But if you happen to have one of these kitchen machines that gives you one of these blades that does more like cutting, yeah, just cut it more or less until you get this kind of mashed lentil mess, and then you stop, let it cool off. So this is what I was talking about. You need to have something that clinches on each other, otherwise you won't be able to make little balls of it. See, look, with this now I can see. But if you puree it, like completely puree it in a blender, you'll have to add oatmeal or flour or something. At this point, some people even add baking powder to make it a little bit airy and poofy. But I would only suggest to do that if you're going to fry them in oil. We're not going to fry them in oil because we want to keep it healthy. So I'm not gonna add baking powder in there. So guys, this mixture, after we mashed it, it's been sitting here because me and Mike have some chores that we're doing here. But I was afraid that if I would to let them sit too long, they dry. And no moist in there, and I won't be able to make patties out of them. But that's not the case. It's still very squishy, very moist, but not too moist. Not too moist, as you can see. So that amount, we started with 200 dry lentils turned into 400, a little bit more than 400 because they also absorb a little bit of water, so they double in size, of course. So eventually I ended up with mashed lentils that are about an amount of about 412 grams. Divide that over 14 patties. because that's what I have here, 7 per persons. Me and Michael always have 2 wraps per persons as for supper. So that means 3 patties per wrap plus a half. So I have a 14 falafel patties. Why I'm talking about patties and not falafel little balls, because when you put them in the hot air fryer, to have them, hot aired evenly, it always helps not to shape them in a bowl, but more like this, more like little burgers. That way they'll get the chance, because they're getting hot air from up and down. So yes, they tell you that the hot air circulates, and you do this whole mechanism explanation. But when you break it down, they're getting hot air from up and down. So try to end up not with too many corners and angles, but just 2 sides, up and bottom side, up and down. Yeah, up and down like the elevator. So like this, and then into the hot air fryer. But before you put them into the hot air fryer, brush them gently and very, very light with olive oil. Use one of these brushes. Again, we want to keep the calories low. So just a little bit, a lick of olive oil. And then with one dip, try to brush 2 or 3. And do that on both sides for all of them. Why we do that? Because hot olive oil absorbs the heat, and it helps things to get a little bit crunchier, to get a little bit of a crunchy outside. It's always nice to have that. So there you have it. But I'm not going to do that yet because it's still not dinner time. So we still have about 2 or 3 hours to go. So I'm just going to let them sit. I don't know if I'm going to put them in the fridge. I'm a little bit too early today. I'm not going to put them in the fridge. I'm just going to put them outside here and cover them, and and then prepare them when it's time. So yeah, there you have it. Let me give you an up-close look. Yeah, they look nice and they smell nice also. All lentils here.
It's like me.
Just like you. All lentils, or it smell nice?
Smell nice.
Uh-huh. Okay. So, I'm sorry. If you have cats, then protect your patties before you get to them with something like this, because otherwise you're going to end up with puree after all. So cats tend just to walk everywhere, just like I used to do when my grandma used to make dough ready for bread. She'd shape the bread and everything. Sometimes I'd forget I'd see things, pieces of cloth laying around.
It's unbelievable that these cats walk around, right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So, but I understand them. That's what I'm trying to say. I understand them. I grew up with a grandma that made her own bread, and she would cover it to rise. And I forget sometimes that it's bread that's there, and I specifically would go and walk there, and she'd be horrified. So I understand. Sometimes, yeah, you do that. So yeah, do this, and that will protect them. All right, time to bake them off. So I don't want to wait, but if you have the time, don't pile them up like I do. Just give them enough space, but I don't want to do 2 patches. I don't have the time nor the energy today. So, like I said, a little bit of olive oil. And just brush the top, just a little bit. Okay, because everything is already cooked. We just want them to get a little bit crispier. So, just keep doing that. I'm gonna put the iPhone down and brush them a little bit. And then give them, when you do that for all of this, 185. 6 minutes on one side, and then turn them over, brush them with a little bit of oil, and then 6 minutes to the other side, for the other side. So guys, this is how your falafel will end up. Actually 6 minutes turned out to be more than enough. So just give them 3 minutes on one side, 3 minutes the other side. 6 minutes, more than enough. There they are. This one I broke because I want to divide them evenly, 3 and then half. And I wanted to show it to you before I wrap them up. And then, like I said, a little bit of yogurt, a little bit of low sugar ketchup. That's it. With roasted paprika or bell pepper, I think you call them. That's it. I hope you like it. Enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, share. Love you guys and have a good day. Stay healthy.